This is True Buzz, that Mary J. Now we ain't new to this. For my stoners and for my cannabis enthusiasts, never heard a show as good as this. Number one, it's the best. Bringing in many special guests in the industry of cannabis. Business owners to growers, even artists you know of. So sit back and just roll up. Perfect show for my smokers. True Buzz, hey.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Bud Show podcast. We got a special guest on today, Hello High in the building. We're talking infusions, edibles, and I got a special device down here we're going to talk about, whenever it pops up. But thank you for coming on today. How you doing? How's LA treating you?
LA is great, and thank you for having me.
Anytime. I saw your channel. I reached out to you because I'm always into edibles. And I reached out because I think when I was going through my analytics, if I remember correctly, okay, I saw we had a crossover in audience. So and I hit up several people recently, and some other ones hopefully come on because I'm all about connecting and collaborating. Yeah. And I guess that's a good place to start, kind of what inspired you initially to start Hello High.
Yeah, sure. So we can segue into that at some point, but I had an idea for an infuser and didn't have a market to sell it to. I had this great idea to come up with this herbal infuser, all of these different functions that other infusers didn't have, but no market to sell it to. So the idea for the YouTube channel came about where I could show people how to cook with cannabis and also at some point show my Ultra Infuser.
Well, that's very smart on your end, and I feel like it's a perfect time to pull it up here on the table. Let's bust it out here.
Yeah.
So we got here the Ultra Infuser. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at this. Let me put this here. I don't know if they'll be able to see it. So actually, I'll read it. I'm spinning it like a top here. So yeah, tell me a little about it, like your initial inspiration and.
Yeah, so I was using other cannabis machines, and they were all lacking something, and I just thought to myself, like, if there was one machine that could come out, like what would it have, and what could I take away and like make it better? So I started with contacted an engineer and manufacturing company and just kind of put my ideas down on paper and my wacky drawings and came up with the Ultra Infuser.
Well, it looks super clean. I obviously just pulled it out here.
Thank you.
Now, okay, so that's a lock here.
Yep.
Okay, so it looks like there's a stir in there. So is this okay, so it has a decarb button, so you can decarb in here.
It's all-in-one decarb. You can do honey, butter.
With decarboxylation, what is your favorite setting maybe on here, but just in general? Because
in general,
I get so many. And to each their own is what I say, because there's so many other things you can do. Yes. But like, what's your favorite?
So my favorite is probably about 230, about 230 to 240. It just depends on the amount that I'm decarbing. For the Ultra Infuser, it's set for a 14 grams decarb. I would say like if I go less than 14 grams. I probably would bring the temperature down just a little bit, but not much. And
I just take the flour and throw it in here.
Yes.
And then just throw the lid on.
Yep.
And then I hit the button and decarb it.
And it decarb all by itself.
And then you add in your favorite fat or butter.
So after it decarbs, you just open the lid and then you can pour your melted butter or you can pour your oil in, and then you just close the lid, hit the butter function or the oil function, and you hit start again and you're good.
Nice. And I see too a tincture button on here. Now I know there's some devices too that have like I don't really care about warranties in general and stuff like that, but are you okay? Is it okay to put alcohol in here?
Yes. Okay. And I get that question a lot, so I'm glad you asked me that. So it is okay to put alcohol in the infuser, and it also has a safety mechanism, and that was one of the things that the engineer and I worked with, because I wanted it to include alcohol because that is something that a lot of infusers don't include. So we created if you look on the inside of the top by the pour, there are vent holes. I'm sorry, on the top, on the lid.
Oh, yeah.
So there's those vent holes right there. and those actually evaporate the alcohol while it's in there, so you don't have your machine doesn't blow up, or something like that. So it actually evaporates about a third of the alcohol off of your tincture, and that also makes it stronger as well. So you're just not a
Well, I'm definitely gonna have to try this because I just bought out here. I forget, it's a company that's like associated with Tesla or something, because it's so hard to find high proof alcohol out here.
Really?
Yeah, because Everclear 170 proof I think is the highest it can go in California.
Really?
Yeah. So I do have. I should have brought it over in this closet. I didn't even know this was gonna pop up, but I do have this super potent that's for extracting. They sell it to all these cannabis companies. So that's gonna be one of the infusions I want to do in here.
Yeah.
But I kind of have a follow up question with that to you is. I personally, when I've had tinctures, especially when you reduce the alcohol,
right.
I don't mind. I don't even know if the alcohol is that prevalent, but I've had questions and comments too of like people that prefer MCT oil or other oils. Do you have a preference if you're making a tincture? Would you?
I prefer the alcohol. I feel like you can do more with the alcohol tincture than with a MCT oil tincture or an oil tincture. It just depends on what you're using it for. A lot of people use the alcohol tinctures for beverages. You don't want to put a oil tincture in, say, a Kool-Aid or, an alcoholic beverage. You want to stick to your alcoholic tinctures. So
It's funny. I've been in the beverage game for a minute, and I've used my own tinctures in beverage, but I didn't even think about that component when I would get the question. I would think more times like, oh, somebody's maybe just. I feel like people sometimes are scared of alcohol in general. They think maybe they'll like, and two maybe what something I'm just thinking about now is there's people that are like hardcore or like going through AA and stuff.
Right.
They probably
I've
don't.
gotten that question as
they
well.
probably don't want to put an drop in their body of alcohol. Right. So it's like, yeah.
I've dealt with that, and I've gotten that question as well. And I have suggested a glycerin tincture. So, and probably flavoring a glycerin tincture. MCT oil, I would probably use like in shakes, like those types of tinctures and shakes and stuff like that. But
have you made one of my new things I want to make recently? I don't know if you have. You have so much content. Like that's why like I've watched some of your stuff, but it's so hard. You know how it is. It's like when you're making so much content, it's like I don't even have time to make content, much less consume it. But have you done a powder at all?
Yeah, I think I have a water soluble.
Nice. I definitely want to see that because I'm working for these water solubles. So I'll definitely peep that out and give you a shout out. I'm gonna watch your video for motivation.
Easy. It's super easy.
Yeah,
I would say probably in my video you'll see it's with maltodextrin. So if you use like a tincture with the maltodextrin, it's better like if you drop that in like a beverage, water or something like that. You'll like the video.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely.
I know oil. It's like a low dosage, like a micro dose on food. Sprinkle some on top for some food.
So that's why I'm all interested. I'm so interested in that and like the powder formulation and just for like the shelf stability element as well, and just having it on the go. Yeah. And then the next button I see here is honey, which I also want to talk about because I've done a couple different honeys. Okay. I've done one mixed with coconut oil. I've done one straight honey. How do you like to do your honeys? Like maybe one of your favorite batches you made.
Yeah. I prefer the coconut oil. Of course, it makes it a little stronger.
Yeah, that's what I'd agree with you.
Yeah, it makes it a little stronger. Just a little bit. And it's just enough to bind, just to have a binder with the honey.
Because that's what I was wondering when I was doing it without the coconut oil. I'm like, there's got to be something in here for it to bind to, right? It's
exactly.
Like, my theory was that it's still going to bind to something. It will. There's still like something that is.
But it won't be as strong.
It won't be. Yeah, you're kind of almost wasting time then.
Yes, exactly. And you can add a little less of thin if you don't want to use oil. But again, you won't get that effect that you will even if you just put just a tablespoon in some honey.
Well, and it's interesting too
with the binding agent.
And do you use your favorite binding agent like lecithin or do you do? Yeah, it's interesting too. Like I've gotten recent comments on like some coconut oil stuff I've done because like there's one video in particular where I just eat like a spoon of it because I'm just like,
oh my god,
because that's just like how I roll. Like I just want to like I eat the spoon or I'll put it in a smoothie and like somebody's like, oh, you didn't say something about like getting sick from this or anything. I'm like, no, I just don't like. I can take a lot of coke. I've never gotten sick, but it made me realize maybe I do need to talk about this more because I do know how oils can make stomachs uneasy, but like I've taken so much olive oil, coconut oil, like so many different oils. Yeah. I'll drink. I've taken shots of coconut oil, shots of olive oil. This is even before I started making.
But like as a tincture or you just
both. So
Okay,
I used to do shots of olive oil just as like a health thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, this is like
Okay.
and I was still smoking, but this is before I was
Right,
doing
right, right.
infusions, and then but with the coconut oil, yeah, I'll just drink it or put it in a little spoon, like a teaspoon, tablespoon.
Yeah.
I'll just throw it back. But yeah, it's just interesting to me that it doesn't phase me, and like it messes
Well,
with a lot of people's stomachs. But
that's what they say about MCT oil, which is derived from coconut.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not unusual because that's what people do. And they infuse the MCT oil and they drop it in their protein shakes. So, kind of the same. You're just taking it.
well, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I was like. Yeah, and I'll do a little something, and that's the thing too. I think a lot of that, and you hit the nail on the head with the MCT part there, because when people
Health
they think it's so,
benefits.
but a lot of like sometimes stuff I'll talk about or even comments like will think that MCT oil and coconut oil are like two way different things. I'm like, they're basically the
Right.
same exact thing.
Yeah, they are.
One just has less of the MCTs in it essentially. So it's like it's just interesting to learn about and talk about. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like when I saw that comment, I'm like, oh shoot, maybe I need to talk more about this, because I'm just doing what, like I said, I'm always like, do you? I'm always doing me. I'm taking spoons of this shit, whatever. But some people are gonna maybe get sick
those
or something.
comments though, with those comments.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm like, and that's where like lately I'm trying to get, yeah, exactly. I'm trying to get better responding to them and stuff. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's like, and that's the crazy thing when you put in so much work on a video and you get like, but the negative comments have taught me stuff too. So it's all.
Yeah, they're just comments.
Exactly.
You just gotta take them and just, they're just comments. So there's always someone that has something to say, even about even with my videos. People say, well, why did you put so much sugar? And it's like it's a gummy. It's you can't please everyone. So I try to have videos that are for vegans or for people that are on a keto diet. I'll throw a keto recipe in there, seafood. So I try to go back and forth. I try to throw easy recipes. Some people, they don't want to make a cake from scratch, and I get it. So I'll throw a box cake mix recipe in there for the people that don't want to take the extra steps. So I try to. You'll see I move around a lot in my videos. So
that's cool. That's awesome too. And it's like, what now that had a question pop in my head is like, what is like one of your favorite, not even infusions, but like one of these recipes you've done, one of your sick videos where it's like you made a super bomb recipe and you're like, this is it. Like, this is the best I've made. Have you ever had that feeling?
I've messed up a lot of recipes that you never see, but super bomb recipe.
Because it's for
me, and you're probably going to be like, out of all of her recipes, probably like pizza. Just making the pizza sauce, that like the pizza recipe that I have is not necessarily that was an easy version, but using the Pillsbury dough, I really use real dough, but just making the sauce, fresh sauce, and like the pizza, that's probably like the funnest and quickest recipe.
How did you infuse the sauce?
With olive oil.
Okay, nice.
So.
And that's one that's underestimated,
Yes,
I think. And that's what I want to get more into, because I want to do beef jerkies, all this stuff. Olive oil, I literally made such a good olive oil garlic dip yesterday with Italian herbs in there. It wasn't infused, but I'm like, this should be.
I just did one infused. So that's my next video.
Nice. Oh shit.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
nice. Because the flavor of the
garlic butter.
Nice. Because I feel that's what I was thinking when I was eating it. Because I'm like, the flavor of these Italian herbs with the garlic and shallots kind of helps. Did
you roast the garlic?
I did it weird. Kind of. I have a little cast iron tray, so I did roast it, I guess, kind of on low for a while, and then I turn it off. I come back 3 hours later. I'll turn it on for a little bit. I'll turn it off. Like yeah, so like I was like showing love to this little garlic dish I had. And I've done it like 3 times recently, but I just dipped my sourdough bread in there. It's so bomb.
Oh my god, you got to do it infused.
I know. I'm slacking.
I'll show you in a couple weeks.
Well, I'll do an oil in here too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have a ambassador affiliate program with your infuser?
I don't yet. So right now, if you are an influencer on Amazon, you definitely can use your Amazon influencer. I forgot what they call it.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking. Because I have one of those stores set up.
Yeah, where you can like click, you can add that.
Yeah.
You can add that link and.
Amazon Associates maybe. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So you can definitely still earn affiliate.
That's cool, and that's where Amazon's dope. Yeah. I just throw that up, and I need to update my store, but it's like.
And you don't even have to put it on your store. Actually, it doesn't even have to like. the person doesn't have to purchase it on your
You just
store
need the link.
to get, they just have to go through your link to purchase it, and you still get commission. Yep.
Because I feel like that would, because I'm an affiliate in for a bunch of these other infuser companies. I love that. Have you ever used, or what are your thoughts on like the T-Check 2 potency tester?
The T-Check 2, I get that a lot. I haven't used mine in a while. I did use it a lot at one point, and I think that with the T-Check, it gets a bad rep, but I think it does work. I just think that a lot of people don't know how to use it correctly. I tested it against lab tests. I've tested it against dispensary results with things, and I've had great results with it. I don't use it as much anymore just because I was using it when I was using other infusers and things like that. But yeah, I think it's a hit or miss. I'm not going to say it's 100% correct. I think if you use it correctly, you'll get results.
And that's well said too. And it's like, and two, it's an extra step too. I don't think a lot of people who are I guess that's an interesting thing to talk about too, is like a lot of people, I feel like if you're don't realize how much work like even a simple infusion can take.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like,
right.
And it's like, it's not like we both have fun doing it, but I feel like that's something too that I've been trying to like talk about more, is like, this is like, even if my title is like easy infusion, I almost want to be like, it is easy, but it still takes this time.
Yes.
So it's like, one of my things too is like, what's the barrier where it's like, you might as well just go buy 100 milligram bar almost.
Well,
unless you have a passion to infuse.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're like, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you're a low dose person, like,
right.
I'm pretty high dose, so like I love making my own infusions, and I make low dose stuff. I got a little tincture somewhere around like low dose, but it's like, it's always interesting to think about. Yeah. Because like I could see somebody thinking, but that's why our content's so cool, right? They can see it how it's done.
Exactly.
But still, that still took. And let's put, it's so much longer to make the content, but it still takes time, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get maybe 30 to 40 minute clips down to about 5 to 6 minutes.
Well, and that's the beauty of devices like this, right?
Yeah.
Where you can walk away. You don't have to worry about it so much. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, all right, I got to go to work. Let me put this shit in the morning.
Oh my gosh. I leave it all the time. All the time. I'm always leaving it, and I just come back and I'm like, oh, it's so easy because you can just, after the decarb, you can just,
Now, what's your opinion? Because on just going back to the decarb, I typically decarb most of the time. I've been playing with doing half, like if I do an ounce, let's say a half ounce, because we were talking that. I've experienced doing like half of that, 7 grams decarboxylated, 7 grams non-decarboxylated for more cannabinoids, more terpenes within the mixture. Do you decarb every time you infuse?
Yes.
and that's what, I've been playing with it. Like I'm saying, I'm a kind of
what results do you get?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's pretty subjective is the thing, right? Because I put all the time into making it, so that's why I haven't made a video about it, because I'm like, I almost feel like I need to have a tester panel.
Right.
Like, I'm not like, I know I'm being weird here, but it's like, I'm just trying to, I like it personally. I guess I'll say I like it because I've made it, first of all, but I also know that I'm getting, the THC heavy decarbed, but I feel like I'm also getting the other elements of the plant, some extra terps, maybe some CBD, CBG, THCA
without decarbing.
Yeah, because I've had some of these cannabis chefs on, and I've done non-decarb stuff before. I did non-decarb stuff before I even knew what I was doing too. Like I have a video that's like kind of popped, and I don't even really know that much what I'm doing. It's like, and that's where that's where it's on me though to learn and make this shit better. It's like, what is that? And back again, that's what my thing is, like, it's for each person, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Because it's like, I don't know. Right?
I guess you just have to have that right balance. I would not say not to just decarb, but you definitely, depending on what you're making, because.
Well said. And I think depending on the product too, like if you're using if you decided for some reason to infuse with like 1/8 of like premium buds, like, maybe slightly, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, or if you're using this trash weed like I got right here, or this like decarb it.
Yeah. I definitely would decarb. I've never tried in years without decarbing. It's just kind of like law.
Guaranteed, yeah. It's like,
that's
the thing, right? It's like, it's like, it's guaranteed, yeah. It's
so, I don't know what it is to not decarb, so You tell us. We are going to tune in.
Well, I'm trying
that video.
Well, I'm trying to learn about. I've done some infusions. I've talked, but that's the thing that blows my mind is, well, actually, too. I'll bring up a lot of the people that I've talked about who don't decarb. When I kind of press them a little bit, even on this, they're like, well, I do decarb, but it's in a sous vide.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't mess with the sous vide. I don't. I get people that ask me questions about those, and I'm just like the old fashioned way. It's going in the stove or it's going in the ultra infuser. So, the extra stuff, I hear people. I've even had people just toaster ovens. I mean, just all types of things. I'm just old fashioned.
And I respect it. And and the thing is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. If you got your method down and it's hitting every time, that's just where I'm like also like a weirdo. I'm like, if I wasn't making content, honestly, like I would just have my own method in place and probably be stuck to it right now.
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful thing about having like making the videos and stuff. It's like inspiring to like answer some of these questions or like, oh, maybe.
No, it really is.
Maybe I should do this or something.
Yeah, I've had a few comments that have inspired me, like have inspired a few videos. So I can say, I might be like in a block. Like, what am I going to do next? What video? What do people want to see? And then I'll see a comment and I'm like, I'm going to do that. Thanks. So, I mean, a lot of my videos come from comments or emails, and I'll let people know that like in the beginning. Thanks for the email on this video. So,
and that's awesome. And I'm trying to remember the first video because that I clicked on yours. All right, I love your vibe. Your setup's nice. You're doing it right. And that's why it's dope to talk to you because it's like it's honestly rare to meet. It sounds even weird to say but people that do like as many infusions.
Right.
Like it's like it's a love of the infusion life. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I actually like creating just different stuff.
And it's exciting. Yeah. It's like, exactly. Give it out. It's like,
but
what do we got this time? It's like, well, and then that's where I need to get better of like when my homemades, like I'm so good at pitching other people's stuff. But when it comes to my stuff, I'm like, well, I hope you like it. Like I did this method on it. You know what I mean? Like I was like, well, I change it up. Like, dude, your shit's always all right.
Yeah. You gotta, I mean, it is what it is, but I like reading the comments. I read all of them. I read all of my comments. I read all of my comments. So,
I've been trying to get. Recently, I have been. I fell off for a little while, or I kind of went on hiatus for a little bit, but I'm still making content. But I'm like, I'm just gonna put stuff out, and but it's motivating though. Those comments are.
Yeah, I like helping people. So it's, it's really cool when I can help someone or someone can ask a question and I might have forgot something in the video and I'm like, oh man, thanks. Because someone else might have had that same, question. So I try to answer most of the comments. A lot of them, sometimes I can't. I don't use distillate. I don't cook with RSO. So I try to let other people answer those comments. But yeah, I try to be helpful when I can.
Totally. And that's where too is like, and also like what you just said is like, oh, well, I don't really do that. So it's not even, I'm not even going to take,
I have good supporters though. So sometimes the people in the comments, they'll answer other people for me. So I'm like, thanks.
That's the coolest thing too is like,
it's
like
cool.
seeing that the conversations going on and figuring it out. And it's because also too is like edibles are so expensive.
Oh my gosh.
Like you could go buy, but that's where
gummies for.
You buy a. You buy like
$20.
You go and buy right now. You go buy a nice gummy right now in California. You're out the door. You're probably walking out spending $29.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you could go buy a jar of coconut oil for $6 or olive oil.
Right.
And then, well, that's the thing too, right?
Like 7 grams for about $30.
Shoot, that's what I don't know. I've been living in LA for so long now. I remember when I was in Jersey selling grams for 30.
Really, 1 gram?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
when was that?
That was in 20.
No, you don't.
I was
have to say.
I'm just playing. This is all hypothetical, but this was back in. I was just in a small little town in Jersey, and nobody had shit to do besides smoke weed and get drunk and shit. So it's like.
You must have been the only person in Jersey.
Oh no. That's what I'm saying. It went up when I went because it was funny too when I moved to Kansas and I started slinging there hypothetically. People asked me for half eighths, and I've talked about this before. Like, can I get a half eighth, bro?
What?
Yeah.
Is that like 1.7
It's
grams?
1.75. I said, my scale, I have a nicer scale that goes out to that number, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'm only selling grams, eighths, quarters, or halves, or ounces, or QPs, or whatever. It's like they had a whole nother system in place for half eighths.
Wow.
You know what's crazy? For the same price point, you could get a half eighth for 30 and an eighth for 60.
Really?
That's what blew my mind the most. There's no markup. It's like, bro, if you're buying less, there needs to be a markup on that.
Exactly. So. Well, you were in
Kansas. That's why I helped change the Kansas game, bringing that G out there. But
nice.
And that's where my first really infusion experience was in California. I'd never infused out there. I tried to do some
What did you do?
Coconut oil.
Okay.
What was it? Yeah, it was a coconut oil was my first one. Then I did a butter as my second. The butter I made into brownies, and it just fucking.
That's usually everyone's first.
Yeah, rocked my world.
Infusion is probably brownies.
What's your thought on people who don't feel infusions?
Who don't feel infusions?
Right, because just being in these dispensaries in California and talking to people, I'll be like, yo, do you want to buy this? Like, edibles do not affect me.
People who don't feel infusions, I don't know, because in dispensaries in the U.S., I mean, from my knowledge, I think they can only sell you up to 100 grams. 100 milligrams. So
per container.
Per container, correct. And it would take a lot. If you have a high tolerance, you would almost necessarily have to eat probably almost the whole bag. So would it be more efficient for you to keep buying one bag and eating the whole bag of candy at a dispensary, or just to make some butter on your own and just kind of...
Well, that's what blows my mind too with what you just said is, and I've said it before, is people come in like, yo, give me the most potent edible. It's like, dude, let's put rosin, distillate, and live resin or whatever the component is to the side.
Right.
But with any gummies or chocolates are all 100 milligrams. So it's like, maybe they could do an RSO or a tincture or something. But like, I guess what I'm saying is, to your point, is like, it's so crazy to me that people, I've heard that too many times to count. Give me your strongest edible. It's like, well, I'll give you a rosin gummy, probably would be my strongest edible or something. Exactly. It's just interesting to like, but that question is interesting to me because it's like, they're all
milligrams.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's interesting.
Now, if you the live rosin gummies, those will hit faster, but they're still 10 milligrams. So you'll feel the effect faster because it's live rosin, but that's about it. It's still going to give you the same effect. What
do you find your onset time is personally for like coconut oil?
So with any butter infusion, butter infusions more mellow me out, and oil infusions are like the strongest for me, probably because they have more of a fat content than butter. But those I have to be careful with because oil infusions they almost can give you a hallucination if you take too much of an oil infusion. The butter will just completely just mellow me out at no matter how high I get.
That's super interesting. I wonder too if that, and that makes me want to almost do more side by side stuff because it's like, because my guts tell me that I agree with you. Yeah. And I wonder if it's because maybe the coconut oil is slower digesting or something. So it's like like almost a timed release maybe where, because I've read too that your everybody's different again, but certain people's livers and stuff that you can eat certain high fat foods that put your liver into hyperactive mode is not the term, but it's like it will just uptake extra fast. And I think maybe that's what butter does too. Yeah. So, because I have the same feeling kind of, because I'm like, but butter's, I need to mess with butter more because it's my favorite and underestimated, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. So I'm not really well, when you're baking, you're using butter more than you are pretty much oil.
Yeah. I guess that's why I love butter, is because I put it on everything when I'm cooking. Yeah. But in terms of infusions, I guess the reason I don't do it for infusions more is just like in my head, I'm like, it's not as healthy. But that's where butter gets a bad rap in general. If you're using actual quality butter, like in moderation, it's good for you, in my opinion. Right. But I grew up also eating country crock bullshit.
Right, exactly. Me too. I still use country crock. But if you want to make a potent infusion, I would say like baking, oil would be your best bet. Like if you want a potent infusion.
That's a crazy thing.
I would say use oil.
That's
oil and something that uses oil.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's the interesting thing is because butter just makes everything taste so good.
Right.
But then when I never, that's an interesting thing. I've always cooked with olive oil or butter.
Mm-hmm.
I had a roommate. I'm trying to remember where he's from right now. I'm spacing out, but he was making these sauteed onions with like a lot of coconut oil.
Okay.
And it smelled so good.
Really?
And he was making this dish. I forget what it was, right?
infused?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But I just smelled because I was like, it smells like it smells like Thai food because there's a lot of coconut in Thai. And he's like, no, I'm just doing these coconut sauteed onions and I'm gonna mix them with a beef or something or whatever he said. And I'm like, oh shit. But I'm like, this makes me. I need to, it's so easy to get set in my ways of how I do stuff. I'm like, I need to branch out a little more with all these other oils.
Yeah, you got to try some. I've infused like grapeseed oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. So
I haven't done an avocado by itself. I've done like a coconut avocado mixture. What I really want to do,
I've
and
even done stir fry.
one of my first like, do you like bone marrow?
No.
Have you had? Is it too weird?
Yes.
See, you're like all my family. I think I told him I have 7 brothers and sisters. There's one brother who's like, and he's not even into it as me. Everybody's like, dude, why do you like this shit so much? I'm like, I don't know. It just feels right to me. But the reason I'm excited about it for cannabis is because it's all fat.
Oh, yes.
So I want to make a bone marrow, and then I'm gonna I think I'm gonna do an infused coconut oil and drizzle it on top.
Okay.
I still need to figure out how I'm gonna infuse it, but for some reason,
Is it solid?
the marrow,
Yeah.
it's like gelatinous. So it's like it's like a jello. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of almost softer.
Yeah. So you just melt it down.
Yeah. So I was almost considering like even before, like when I put it in the oven when the marrow's not done, just kind of putting like a layer on top of something to infuse in there. Yeah, it's funny that when I bring up bone marrow, it's always like most of the time people are like,
Just put it in the ultra infuser.
okay.
Just
Because
melt
that's
it down, put it in, infuse, and
that's the thing too, because when marrow, because when you do cook it, if you cook it too much, it turns a complete liquid.
Right.
Like any fat,
But
when it hardens, it solidifies.
Yeah.
So yeah, you cook it in here and do a marrow. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, and pour it in there. It's like a little greenish. Like, I geek out on marrow. I don't know why I love it so much, but and that's what I've
Maybe
realized
one day
too.
I'll try it.
That's why I made this video recently too. Oh, so you haven't tried it?
No.
It's just too. You're just kind
Yeah,
of.
it just sounds kind of weird.
And this makes it sound weirder, but it's. I call it a meat butter.
Okay.
Because if you spread it on a piece of toast, it's just like. To your point, it just looks kind of gross, honestly. And like, but I have given it to people when I spread it on toast. What the fuck is this? I'm like, and that's where for my family too. Next time, I've just made the marrow bones, but I've made. Oh, that's actually it. Because I did a half and half. I did marrow bones and butter. So I'll take my butter infusion, mix it in there, dump it back. Okay. You give me ideas over here. I appreciate you.
I have to see the video. You have to.
That's why I geek out on it. And so, but looking at this, I just want to. Yeah. Well, the thing is with the marrow, my favorite thing is like not even a sauce. I usually just do the marrow, capers, grilled lemon.
Okay.
So like charred lemon on my cast iron, and then I do like an arugula or like a parsley or some type of like kind of intense herb.
Okay.
So then I spread the marrow on, capers with the herb, squeeze the lemon on top.
Sounds good. You see, now you're tempting me. It sounds good.
Well, like right before I was looking at this and I was like, I just want to give you so much more props too for creating this.
Thank you.
Because I've had a lot of ideas and stuff I've kind of started to do, and it's like so many people have ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like you put it into fruition and you have an awesome machine.
Thank you.
That I'm excited to try. So like just super props on that. Like that's dope as hell.
Thanks. I put a lot of hard work into it, so I'm glad you appreciate that.
So if you weren't going to use a device, let's put them all to the side. Would you go crock pot? Would you go stovetop?
I'm a stovetop person. So oven for the decarb, then the stovetop. And like in my early videos before like I had the machine come out, I started showing people just the meat and bones of how to, infuse oils and butters and just show them, how to make like ghee from butter and make it clarified. That's a whole nother, topic. But Yeah, just the stovetop. The stovetop has always worked. I told you I'm old school. So the oven for the decarb and the stovetop for everything else. So
Yeah.
no crock pots.
See, I personally, I don't know. Obviously, like you said, decarb in the oven. But if I had to go, I don't know. I kind of like the crock pot though, because it was to me kind of like a device that I could walk away from.
Okay.
But I think maybe that's part of the problem with it too.
That
Because
you
it's like
walk away.
doesn't have a stir in there, like
Right,
you know,
right.
in or anything. So, but I don't know. It's just
Yeah. And that's the thing, like with the Ultra Infuser, like I tested like a lot of infusions from different machines, and just not having the stir, it makes a big difference, because you're essentially just soaking the herb, and you're just soaking the herb, and I'm not saying it doesn't work that way, but having a constant stir at a constant temperature, it just helps the infusion. It helps it, be more potent and extract what you need to extract out of it. So,
well, and that's what I always wonder too. Even when I do use my devices, I'm like, and I've done experiments, and I've actually like gotten a little high off it, but it's like I'm so weird. Where I'm like, I feel like there's something still in here.
right.
Like even when I've done an infusion for a long time, but one of my favorite infusions I've done, thinking about it now, was when I was using my weed press,
Okay.
and I had like an ounce of just leftover material.
Yeah.
That was already kind of decarbed.
Okay.
Just threw that in a mason jar. That shit was so
Really?
Yeah, so potent.
People always ask me about using the leftover.
See, that's where I get a lot of questions about leftover vape materials. I don't vape enough to have those. And honestly, some of the ones that I used to have had like black charcoal in them, or like char.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, I'm not gonna throw that in my stuff.
No.
But that is, the vape stuff is real though, because there is still some potency there. But
Like in food, you put the vape.
well,
stuff
no,
in
I've
food?
gotten questions about that, because like, you're already vaped weed.
Right.
So a lot of people want to make infusions, I think, with already vaped weed, which is smart to utilize it. But my thing is, like, my personal opinion is, yes, it'll work, but it's probably inconsistent, and it's probably gonna taste like shit.
Yeah, I'm not usually. It's like basically like using distillate. I'm so against using distillate in cooking.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, if I had a distillate hookup, which I haven't sought one out, I'm sure I could. That's the thing. It's so easy. Like,
It's
you
easy, but
dump a liquid in.
Yeah.
But then it's just.
it's chemicals. I'm just not into. I just feel like when you're cooking with cannabis, it's essentially, you want to do something all natural. So the distillate just kind of takes away from that all natural cooking, with butters and herbs and oils.
100%, and that's
It's like you're cheating. You're just cheating the high.
yeah, and that's
Throw some
where I
distillate
like
in
that,
there.
and that's where too is like, if you expect, and that's a very, even I'm gonna geek out on this for a second, because that's what so many people don't realize when they're buying edibles in stores,
It's distillate.
is
Most of the time.
the vast majority, until the past couple years, since resin and rosin has gotten popular.
Yep.
Before these 2 or 3 years, it was 99% distillate.
Yeah.
Now it's probably like 90 or 85 or some percentage. I'm just talking out my ass here, but it's nuts. And that's what blows my mind, is people are like, oh, I love this edible. It's like, dude, why?
Yeah.
Oh, it tastes good. It's like, this one tastes good, this one tastes good, this one tastes good. They're all the same thing, basically.
Better off making your own.
Yeah, they're all the same high. And that kind of goes back to the question of like, is somebody, is it worth making your own or not? First of all, it is if you want to save money. Second of all, if you want to have full control, I think is the most important thing. Like we're saying, like.
Yeah, and that's exactly, because you know how much, cannabis you're putting in, you know what you're starting with. And then, like, that was another thing that I noticed, like, most of the machines, they started off with maybe 2 cups. And so it's hard for people to kind of rationalize, like, why do I need to make 2 cups of oil or 2 cups of butter? How much you would have to use, in my opinion, in my how I make my edibles, I would probably use about an ounce in 2 cups. So the thought of having to use an ounce of cannabis just to meet the threshold of having 2 cups of infusion is another reason why the Ultra Infuser starts at 1 cup. So for people that want to make stuff on a personal, you're not going to have to use up as much as your cannabis or marijuana that you would to make 2 cups.
Yeah, and that's a smart move on your end
So,
too, because and that's why I've done a fair amount of videos, like small batch stuff that I've done with like mostly with the Levo device, but it's like the small batch stuff is important for sure, because I feel like that's what the general population wants.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I want high dose stuff because I get trim and shake from my friends, but it's like, yeah, most people want just a simple, easy, low dose thing that they can cook up at home. And
Right.
I don't know, it's so interesting though still to me, like the difference of everything and what, because like I was saying, it takes the work, right? But it's got to be rewarding, because I've trying to turn like at least one friend I'm thinking of in particular onto infusion, and he's never, and it was my fault because he's never been a chef. I'm not a chef. I just love cooking food in general.
Right.
So like he's never been into cooking food. He eats out every dinner of his
my God.
life. You know, it's like, so it was my fault for like trying to pitch this guy. I'm like, yo, because he's eating these shitty edibles. I'm like, and he was living in illegal. So he was smoking illegal carts, smoking illegal
my God.
edibles, and he gave me some of this shit. Like I puffed his cart. I'm like, that's whack as fuck. I ate the edibles. I'm like, these taste good, but it's like, bro, what are you taking?
Yeah.
What, right? Like, and that's in another, if you like segue almost, is what do you think of these like Delta 8 products, HHC, which I don't know really much about.
Yeah.
Like with these legal products that are like, do you ever try to do infusions with those, or just what's your thought in general on these like temp derived edibles in the market?
Yeah, I'm not interested really in doing Delta 8. I kind of tapped my audience and they weren't really interested in it. They want the real deal. So I think we got real cannabis enthusiasts as our audience. But they just weren't really interested in the Delta 8. I'm not too familiar with the Delta 8 in terms of what would be the benefits in terms of cooking with the Delta 8.
Yeah, it seems
I
like
don't really see any benefits in cooking with Delta 8, so...
I agree. And it seems just like a loophole for people to sell gummies and CBD.
Exactly.
That's been my hesitance. Is
Me
I'm
too,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, but that's the interesting thing with the decarb in general too, is like, I feel like like when there's more science coming out to exact temperatures.
Right.
So it's like, maybe you could do 220 for 30 minutes and you get a good THC uptake.
Right.
And then there's like a little extra, and that's also the, like, I guess I need to do more research on the thresholds of like people that are interested in CBD. I've never bought a strain like God's Gift or something that's high in CBD. I've never done a high CBD infusion for anybody.
Okay.
But I have gotten those questions too, because people like a couple of my friends even don't like to smoke that much. What are your thoughts on like high CBD strains? Or like a Harley Quinn was a strain that I was smoking for a little bit that was high CBD.
I think when it comes down to like cooking with strains that are in high in CBD, it kind of, you're gonna diminish something with one or the other in terms of the THC or the CBD. So when you do the decarb, you're going to lose. It's not going to be as even as it would be if you smoked. So the benefits would not be the same.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. I mean, I don't cook with like strains that are high in CBD just because of that. Because I just like to have one or the other. I do cook with CBD, but mostly I make like balms, things like that.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on CBD in general for yourself and like your intake?
Yeah,
I know you touched on it just now.
Yeah, I like CBD. I actually make a CBD balm that's good for like muscle pain and muscle like the relief and anti-inflammatory benefits of it. I think it's really good for that. Outside of that, I don't really deal with CBD.
Well, it was same here until this last company I was working with
Right.
recently, and I was starting to take CBD. I'm like, oh, there is something to it.
Yeah.
I realized is like, okay, this is nice. There's something to it, but like, it's no THC. But for some reason, I had a bad rap in my head about it because it was so commercialized and seen so many bullshit products out there. But I'm like, I just need to learn more about it. That's what interests me about all these other cannabinoids too.
Yeah.
It's like, but THC is the one. But that's where it's crazy.
You gotta find the right one for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It's just there's so much to figure out, right? That's the exciting thing for me.
I'm not really a CBD person, but it does have its benefits, and I just use it for the health benefits for pain. That's it.
Well, it's hard to justify too. Some of the CBD products I've seen, I'm like, I'll buy I'll buy a actual like other something over this. But that's the interesting thing too, is that for edible talk, most people who are interested in CBD probably don't want to do homemade edibles.
Right. Yeah. True.
So they probably just want to go to a store, get a little CBD thing. They don't want to go make their own infusion stuff. So it's interesting to think about, but.
Yeah. And then a lot of there's so much CBD on the market. It's like, what's really real at this point? You know, I mean,
And that's what I like.
So many different
and
CBD
hemp derived versus
exactly.
And it's even with that too that I've like to bring up working for this company is the relevance of having the THC within it for the uptake bioavailability component. Because like you're saying, so many people, it's just been that's why I had that's why I put a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm like saturated. It just became this thing that was whack. I'm like, we should be focusing on the whole plant. Right. And this could be a whole fucking wormhole that I'm about to talk about, but something too is like with legalization of drugs in general. When people are like, oh, like let's talk about legalizing all the drugs. I'm like, I am down for that personally, but let's focus on what's here right now. Like cannabis. Like let's do that. Let's get something under our belt. Definitely. So when I hear these even conversations, I'm like, let's get cannabis under our belt before even trying to approach any of this other shit.
Yeah, and I'm really big on legalization. So, and just helping just with people who are incarcerated as well for cannabis related offenses. So it's on both spectrums, you know.
And that's where I need to keep up a little more with what's going on, because I know there were some promises made, and I'm not going to turn this into anything political at all, but I know there's some like promises made with like certain numbers of people getting out. I hope that's been happening. Yeah. That's something on my level where I need to be more active and figuring that out. But it's like, to your point, it's just nuts that it still hasn't happened in probably a lot of places. And like still a lot of my family still lives in Kansas. It's so extreme there. And then Missouri legalized recently. So it's like, my mom's on the border 5 minutes away from Missouri. It's like, this is so, what do we have? 36 recreational or total cannabis states, whatever the number is. I could be climbing. It's like, and I always thought my line has always been like, what's the tipping point? Like 36 seems like a good tipping point.
Yeah. Me 51.
What's going on? Like,
everybody.
But that's also what I wonder too with the legalization stuff is like,
Last Prisoners Project, they also have a good, they're a nonprofit organization, and they work to free actually prisoners that are incarcerated due to cannabis offenses. So
they've been doing the most I've seen in California for it, and they have a Felon and the Farmer, I think, is a brand they work with heavily, and I fuck with that just for that reason. It's super cool. Like,
cool. I mean, they're doing a lot of great stuff.
and that's where, and that's also the element to the game that's kind of crazy to me is like they're doing everything so right with everything. They've had the best intentions, but sometimes I feel like you can sense it instantly with certain brands. It's like, are you really like, this is just me being out in Cali, like seeing a lot of these brands for a while. I'm like, are you really like, I don't know. Like, I don't really believe you. I'm not even saying I can think of 5 brands right now. I'm not going to say, but it's like the whole thing of like, oh, the narrative of like, we're helping. It's like, no, you're just doing a money grab and a weak marketing ploy.
Definitely not Last Prisoners.
Yeah, exactly.
They definitely put in the work.
Oh, so. Them. That's what. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, no,
not them.
100%. No, 100%. They're legit. All I'm saying, I think I think there's knockoffs. I think there's there's Felon and the Farmer and Last Prisoner projects like knockoffs, kind of like Tom Shoes. When after Tom Shoes came out, like, oh, we give a shoe to everybody. It's like, well, you raise your prices, or other people like give away all this shit. I don't know. It's like,
I mean, you have to have some type of, philanthropy associated with, your brand. And it just depends on, do you truly believe in the philanthropy that you're contributing to, Some people don't, and they just want to, just put their money just to say they're doing something. But then you have other people that truly believe in what they do. So.
And that's where I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong for you, but for me, 100% is like, that's where it's like giving back to the people that watch, like the doing giveaways, or even even the simple fact of making like a piece of content, like you're saying, from a comment. Like, I don't know, that to me is like super fun and awesome, and it's like a good way to like learn yourself, but also give back. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I actually I'm not monetized, so anything I do, I mean, it's strictly for my viewers. So. And, trying to make their lives better, whether they want ice cream or whatever it is. So I'm not doing this for a YouTube check. So.
Well, that's funny too, is because I haven't been monetized in years. I was but you know what I realized though, when I was monetized, they pushed the shit out of my content.
Yeah. It's
like,
funny.
Like I was like, damn this shit. The videos, like they took like 5 of my videos almost to the millions, and then they deleted 2 of them or whatever,
Really?
3 of
Wow.
And then so I almost got deleted so many times, but like that's what I was thinking though, because I keep getting this thing like apply for remonetization. I'm like, hell no, I'm not trying to get deleted.
Right.
Like I'm staying under the radar, motherfuckers.
No, I got it. I mean, they're YouTube's going through their whole policies and whatever they're changing. Hopefully for the good.
Have you gotten a lot of like? What I like though is I'm not getting community guideline strikes.
Yeah.
Probably 75% of the videos I put up, even before they go live, I get an age guideline strike.
Really?
Yeah. Literally, the past the past 30, and that's why my videos are all stunted too. If I'm doing any infusion, if I'm doing anything, I instantly, before I even upload the video, get a community guideline strike for age restriction.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So I
have
like
some age restricted videos.
Yeah, but I'm just so surprised, and that's where I'm like, I'm cool. Like, just keep my stuff out there. I ain't tripping on it, but I'm like, at the same time, it's just weird almost.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. And that's where I'm like, the interesting thing too is I know if I start, that's what I think about sometimes too. I'm like, I almost just want to put some of my content on a separate channel.
Yeah, I thought about that too, like Patreon or something.
Or
like
no,
that.
even a separate YouTube channel.
Separate.
Because like I feel like I've been blackballed for like so long, and all my content is like I get viewers, but I feel like the YouTube itself has kind of like blackballed me in a weird way.
You just got to do, just keep going. I mean, I felt like that at some point, in certain videos and things like that YouTube is. They do what they want to do, but just keep pushing your content. You got to keep going. Don't worry about
That's where I'm like
who's watching it. Just put it out there and just let the world enjoy it, and that's it.
100%.
And just pray that federal it'll be legally federal. I don't know how to say that, but federal. They'll pass something where it's legal, and maybe we can get our monetization back, and just got to keep going.
Exactly. And that's how I feel too. And it's just interesting to like see it though too. Like, with that point too, is like how many alcohol channels
oh my God
are monetized. And it's like,
crazy.
we could go on this thing all day, and I'll stop right now. But to your point, I'm just but it's like, it's just crazy. But
Man,
the thing is though, the monetization isn't even, I don't know. It's interesting to think about though, because it would. But like you said, that's the love of the game, and that's what I say about cannabis all the time too. Is it's forced so much creativity.
Yeah.
Like you can't do your typical ad spend. You can't do a lot of other regular things that businesses do.
People don't know that. People don't know that. So it's like we're
ahead of our time.
We don't have the advantages that other people have. So our content is like, it's not like someone else putting out content, and it's sometimes in a way it's unfair sometimes. You have. And I know you've seen those like CBD commercials on channels, and it's like, how can this person start off a commercial and say, are you not getting high? But I can't receive monetization for my content on my channel, but someone else can have a commercial on a YouTube platform asking about getting high. So
yeah.
What can you do? I mean, it's the same.
Like you're saying, just keep. That's how I feel. I'm 100% with you. Is my what I say is just keep cranking.
For gummies.
Just keep. I'm just like, I just got to keep cranking. But it's like it's interesting to see though and think about, because it's like it's in such a new space, especially in the media realm.
Yep.
And it's just interesting. Like and. The beautiful thing about that, not the fact that people can't get monetized, the thing I love about that, thinking about even deeper right now, is that puts out a lot of bad actors.
Yeah, it does.
Like you can't. It's like, why would we even
in it for the money?
Yeah, it's like, okay, well that's like, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens when it does become federal. Like we're going to have such an influx, but people,
they may come back.
Well, that's what I've always said too with the cannabis stuff, is like, there's a cannabis culture. Everybody's a person. But like, there's something I feel like about people that enjoy smoking weed and stuff, is like, you can tell, or anybody in general can tell something when it's whack or fake.
Right.
It's like, I'm gonna go buy from my buddy that I know is legit, not this fucking Walmart weed. Like,
right.
It's interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, because I think it'll definitely be. I hate asking these questions because I know they're so hard. But what's your opinion of when we will see federal legalization? Yeah.
This is 2023, probably
I'm feeling-
25.
I'm feeling like
25.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure, like
Yeah.
which there should be. Like during COVID, it blew my mind. I'm like, look at these states making all this paper.
Yeah.
Like let's bring money in instead of sending and giving all these checks out. Let's grow some weed.
Yeah, you do have a lot of states, you know, that just in the last elections they legalized the weed in a lot of states. So, I mean, we're making
Well,
progress.
it's like well, New
So,
York's like
it's gotta
sitting
get out
on
and
like
vote.
excess weed, right? Like
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of pounds supposedly. I didn't read the full article, but like there's all these a lot of these articles are probably bullshit. But it's like that's so sad is that certain states are sitting on excess weed.
Just like, yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean, well, look at the prices. I mean, in the dispensaries, it's like, you know, the prices are like through the roof in a dispensary. So you can still buy affordable weed on the street
And that's where
and have almost the same type of quality.
or even better sometimes
Or
too.
even better.
The
Yeah, you're right.
lab testing is kind of
right.
like and that's where like with the edible thing, I think dispensaries are more valid. But even with the flower though, like
Right.
I've gotten some fire shit, but I'm like, I've just more now recently just being in the game longer, starting to care more about like how shit's grown.
Right.
Before I was like, just get me high.
No,
I want to make some potent shit.
No.
Like that's just how I was rolling. I'm like, I just want to
Yeah.
get some good weed. Now I'm like, I need like the cleanest, most organic
Exactly.
shit. Like I don't even care if it's like, and that's a whole conversation that's coming up. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, you
So
gotta
many
have
people
a
like
good flush game.
give me the highest fucking, or even before the flush too though is like having all the right inputs.
Yeah.
Like so many people want to like play, and I get it, especially in California. These companies have to play the game of high percentage and all this stuff, but it's like whatever happened to just having good organic pesticide free quality weed.
Right.
Like
It's hard to find.
that's how it
Yeah.
started, right? Like
Good warehouse. Like
yeah.
Now you're in warehouses and
there's
like
good
that
ones, and
indoor.
the crazy thing is there's a lot of bad ones too, and
Yeah.
and a lot of the bad ones come in, and everything I'm saying is basically based on the California market. I don't know a lot about other markets, but there's like a lot of people that come in with this kind of subpar fucking regulated fucking nugs, and they undersell people.
Right.
So it's like you have this big player come in and cut everybody's prices by, oh, we'll sell our ace for $5. Everybody's
Right.
selling theirs for 16. And then all of a sudden people are buying their shit, and that's just an evil cycle to the game.
Yeah.
And that's why what we're doing, I think, like we're saying, is the shit, because it's
Yeah.
like it puts it all in a person's hands.
exactly.
Find your source and then try one of these infusions or videos that you've spent so much
Right.
time making. You know, it's like,
And make your own.
yeah.
So I mean, it's a crazy game because you have the dispensaries and you have, you know, the street weed, and you know, so it just depends on, you know, what you have a taste for and what you're looking for, or your comfortability as well too. So
And I think that's so beautifully said. And, you know, I've kind of referred to that a little bit, but you said it way better than I could, is like, do you, and like, also there's so many resources,
Right.
You know, it's like, it's crazy how much there is out there.
yeah,
And that's kind of the daunting part, right? Like
Yeah.
somebody, if I was just doing it, like I did when I first typed in, and like, I want to do a weed infusion. I'm like, whoa, this is so much going on here.
it's so much information.
Yeah, it's
out
like,
there.
okay, then you hear one thing, you
Yeah.
hear another thing. It's like, oh my God. You just kind
I
of,
know.
I think I'm a big believer too of like taking it in, and then you just got to do the reps yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
Figure
have
it.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause people request from me, like, oh my gosh, they'll say, I'll do a video one way. Oh, can you do it this way? Can you do it that way? And it's like, I can't, because I can't, you know, it's like, I'm using like real cannabis for these videos.
Well, that's a
So-
whole nother element too.
Right,
That's
a whole
underestimated.
nother-
Yeah.
Exactly. And people don't realize that, like, I'm using real cannabis for every recipe. So these are all oil infusions. So, I mean, I would love to try different recipes, you know, like one recipe 5 different ways, just for people who don't eat sugar, or people who, you know, for whatever reason, they only eat seafood, try with chicken. But I can't. So it's like, you know, I can just do what I can do, and then you do what you do. So you let me know how your recipe came out.
Yeah. Totally. And that's
I
where
can't
like,
change up
I
everything,
I
so.
love that. And that's where I've been trying to get better. And I think I said it a little earlier though, is like I have so many ideas in general, but like I try to I'm trying to get better lately of like honing in on everything I'm saying.
Okay.
Like I'm doing this infusion, but you don't need to use the device I'm using.
Right.
You don't need to be doing any of this, because I've been in the past, like sometimes I'll hop into the video.
Yeah.
But I want to help everybody. Like that's always been my goal, to help everybody.
You can't.
But it's like, well said. I'm thinking too much about it.
Yeah, you're thinking too much.
Yeah. But that's where I'm like, I just want to like almost say too more, because like I feel like when people might see me with a device, like, oh, I need this device to make this infusion. It's like, I guess that's what I want to say in the beginning. I'm gonna make this with this device, and I've been saying it, but you don't need it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, just something simple like that is like my thing too. I'm trying to get better at, because it can be intimidating too for people.
No,
like
it can.
even buying like a quarter of weed is a lot of money maybe for somebody,
Right,
and then they
exactly.
got to go to buy this device. It's like,
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be better if you do, but you don't have to.
It's easier.
100%.
And you know what? It depends on how much you're making. If you're just making a tray of brownies like every few months,
I think it'd still be worth it too, though.
You
Like
think so?
I
I mean, I think it would be worth it, but I mean, you know, I wouldn't just say go run out and buy a $200 device, because you can make enough oil for the next time and just put it in the shelf. But if you have your like small,
I think that's the beauty of
edible
what we're
business.
doing too, though, just being honest with people. Like, hey, by all means, this will make it better. But
Exactly.
it's like that's where it's like the beautiful thing is like we're saying like we're not even monetization. All this says like just being honest. Like, hey, this might help you, but just taking the time for the content is like just
Yeah.
So what's your kind of, and I know we're going on a minute here, so
know, right?
we'll wrap up here soon, but I'm just curious, almost, we're getting to the end of it, so I'm just on a selfish level.
No, we're
What's
good.
your style for your, like, creating your content?
My style.
Yeah, just in general.
My style. The first thing is like when I think about a recipe, I try to think of something that will be really quick and easy. I know I always say that, but it's the truth. I try to think of, I can infuse anything, but I don't want to create a video where it's not necessarily quick and easy, like coming on and infusing a pot roast or, some jerk chicken wings or curry chicken, the whole meal. So I try to keep it quick and easy and whatever I do. So that's pretty much my style, just showing everybody how to do it quick and easy, not necessarily focusing on me or my kitchen, just straight to the meat and potatoes.
You do have a nice kitchen.
Thank you. Just focusing on the actual recipe, and that's like the most important for me. So I think that works,
Follow question that's a little off topic. Have you ever thought about doing a food channel that's not cannabis related?
Not cannabis related. No, I'm not a chef. So
Well, you seem like you
No,
got
I'm not a chef.
the game for it.
Yeah. I like to cook. I've always liked to cook, and I like to cook dessert. I like to cook, just regular foods. I like trying different foods. I eat everything. So I just like to cook. I'm just a cooking enthusiast, and I'm not a chef. I've never been to a cooking school. So
Well, and that's where I'm no chef, like I'm saying, but I do love to cook personally. So yeah, it's apart from cannabis too. Just curious, do you have a favorite? If one of your top 3 like heavy protein meals, like if it was like with steak, chicken, fish, like do you have a top meal within that realm that you like to cook? I'm hitting you with your questions at this point.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So I'm a steak I'm sorry, not steaks. I'm a chicken and seafood person. So I don't really eat too much beef, no pork.
So what's your favorite piece of chicken?
Favorite piece of chicken?
Yeah.
Probably the wing.
Yeah.
I like the wing.
It's for me, it's wing and then thigh.
The wing and the thigh? Yeah, I'm a thigh person, so probably like a wing and a thigh.
And like I said, I'm getting at the end. We're getting to the end here, and I'm
not really picky.
Well, neither am I at all. But like, if there's like a whole chicken there, I'm like, what do I go for first? You're right, the wing.
Probably the wing.
The wing, and then the second up is a thigh for me.
Okay.
It's like, well, that's an interesting thing too, just in general of like, I'm geeking out on food right now, but even with just the chicken of like the different, to bring it back to cannabis is like, I've had, like if you go to a farmer's market and buy a farmer's market chicken thigh is vastly different than a Tyson Vaughn's chicken thigh.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. Like I go to the Grove farmer's market and like bringing out the
like
can.
bigger?
No, they might even they're about the same size,
Okay.
but you eat it like
Oh yeah, the fresh.
you bite it and it's
Yeah.
like game over. And I think
Yeah.
that with like the cannabis stuff and even talking like distillate and stuff, it's like yeah, you could go get an edible that's kind of like the Tyson edible,
Right, exactly.
or you can get the premium
Exactly,
that
yeah.
you can make yourself.
I think
But
that's
that was a weird little.
No. I agree with you. I saw it. I saw that.
Yeah.
I got it.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me at all, or anything before we wrap up that you wanted to say that I interrupted you on or something?
No, I didn't. I mean, I know we had spoken about like growing and stuff like that. I didn't know. Are we growing?
Yeah.
No.
So
I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that. I didn't know.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, see, that's where I'm about to start my first grow. I've just
Okay.
been honestly waiting. I've talking to a couple different companies, and that's the thing is I've gotten more into the content game.
Okay.
I'm like, if I'm gonna make content, at least let me be able to kind of work with a company that's giving me free shit,
Yeah,
and helping out. So I'm waiting on a couple others. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm looking at it's like dope shelf thing. But what
Okay.
was your experience in growing? Like, and do you consistently do it, or kind of what's your?
I was consistent a couple years ago, and then I kind of got busy with the infuser and just kind of doing videos. But I like growing. Growing is fun. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's fun to see the results of your grow and to be able to smoke your own cannabis. It's pretty cool.
And that's where too, like what I fuck with the most, not being a grower, but one of my best friends who does is the trim and shake again.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I wonder too. I'm like, is this high as good, or is it kind of like but my theory was it's still kind of the same because it's the same strain, especially when you infuse it. But like that's the beauty too of the grow is like you not only can you get your nugs, but you can reutilize that.
Right. Exactly. So I use a lot of when I was growing. I used a lot of the shake and.
Were you doing
Sometimes
indoor or
trim.
outdoor?
Indoor.
Okay.
Yep. I was doing like autos and regulars.
Do you miss? Do you want to get another one started? Or
Definitely.
yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, it's fun. It's just like because it's fun that each week you get to kind of see your plant evolve until it's finished. I mean, there's literally every week of growing is something new. So.
And that's where I feel like just being, I've gone a lot of grows and toured a bunch of stuff, but just being like having a cannabis channel, I feel like I need to be making grow. I don't need to, but it's like I also want to do it for what you're saying because I have these other plants around and I'll talk to them and like I had this one hurt and I think he's coming back to life, but it's like that there's something beautiful about like taking care of something like that too. And like
I know it's exciting. So and I love like taking care of the plants and stuff too. So I think you'll have fun.
I'm ready. And to the content game too. I think it'll be really cool to get some like new almost because I haven't really done growing content in several years. So it'd be cool to get other people. But the growing content I did do with my buddies done well. But it'll be cool to bring kind of new eyeballs or people that were old subscribers to see some new stuff because that's interesting too, right? It's like if you start doing. That's where I kind of do all the crazy shit. I'm all over the place. Like,
right. But it's all cannabis, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I actually learned how to grow from YouTube.
YouTube's?
Yeah, I did.
That's what I got in a little, kind of almost, not an argument, but like a little thing with my brother because he's like, oh, this is a different topic. He said, oh, I want to send my daughter to school. I'm like, I respect that, but does she know what she wants to do? He said, no. I'm like, well, I don't even know if it's worth it then. And it became a little kind of like slight argument. And it's like, I'm first of all in the wrong for even saying anything. But I'm like, with that, what's your thoughts? I know we're getting weird on different topics, just schooling in general these days.
Just college period?
Or just like any school. Like if you were.
If horticulture, you mean? Or just.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For cannabis, especially now. Like because there's no cannabis business school. Like, and honestly, like most cannabis people I know never even been to business school.
Yeah.
They've just been growers or buyers
Right. I would think like if someone wanted to go to school, like and they're in the cannabis industry, I probably would just suggest like if they want to be in the cannabis industry, like go to school for some like get a good degree in like marketing or business administration or something like that to where you can apply it to the cannabis business. I mean, they do have I don't know, like
weed colleges
and courses and things like that. Those are all good. But in terms of a degree, or if you just want to open up a cannabis business, like I would say getting the meat potatoes of how business actually works and things out there that you probably don't want to pay people for, like marketing, understand how that works so you can kind of apply that to your business. So.
No, I'm 100% like in agreement with you, because I'm like on the same page too, where it's like, maybe it's better that somebody who wants to get into cannabis takes like a minimum paying job at like a grow facility or a distribution facility.
Definitely.
But like,
learn how it works.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely have to learn how everything works. So whether you go to school or you learn hands-on, both of those are great. Like, you don't necessarily have to go to school to learn how to run a business. If you put yourself hands-on in a grow facility, and there's always people out there that are willing to teach you how to grow or how to do things, and you can learn that way. Like, so
yeah, I'm sure you've had people reach out to you too who are like, yo, like I want to learn from what you're doing and like work with you and stuff. That's and I guess the last thing I want to ask you here is, where do you see Hello High? Like, what's you already have a awesome device that I'm excited to use. You already have so much great content. Obviously, you're going to keep killing the content game, keep killing this device. What, is there anything else in the future that you see, or just that we should be excited for?
Of course. So I have a few things coming out soon. I have some molds. I won't get into what type of molds they are too much, but I do have some molds coming out. I have some baking things coming out. So more things coming from Hello High in the future, probably in the next 6 months. So something like that. Maybe Martha Stewart of cannabis.
All right, nice.
Have our own pots and pans and everything.
Okay,
so, yeah, more stuff coming soon.
I'm super excited to try this.
Okay.
So thank you very much, and thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Time flies.
I know.
I'm looking down. I'm like, wait. I've had a lot of fun. I feel like it'll be fun too, like keeping in touch and doing other podcasts in the future, and like even maybe doing like a collab infusion.
Do it. Come to my kitchen.
Let's do a little collab infusion video and get it going. But thanks again for coming on. I truly appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.